Well, all right. I told you guys I was going to do Q&A, so here we go. I'm uploading this one like late Monday night, and part two, there's going to be a part two because we had enough questions. I split it up. Part two will be uploaded sometime Tuesday afternoon or evening. So thanks to all of you guys that follow me on Twitter that submitted your questions. If you want to partake in future Q&A questioning, just follow me on Twitter. Twitter handle is in the description box. Let's go ahead and get started. Geo knows. What does Geo know today? How happy are you that not only did America win more medals than China at the Olympic Games, but rallied on the last day to win more gold medals than those godless communist bastards? It fascinates me how you're a Canadian and yet you're like, America conservative, Geo. Bless your heart. He said godless communist bastards. Why all the hate for China? Because they do America better than America does? With their crony corporate capitalist system? Oh, and don't hit me with the human rights shit. Like America has any right to talk about anybody's human rights. Yes, fuck China and fuck America. Fuck most all of these countries. Let's be real here. As far as the gold medal piece and so forth, I really don't care. It's cool. I know, but nothing that keeps me up at night, that's for sure. Spenny P19. Well, when the McCaskies fire Ted Phillips, how can you keep rewarding mediocrity? Well, since Phillips is naturally an accountant by nature, and the McCaskey family, among other things, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to finances, that's why Ted's had a job for 3.5 decades. Because they know at the end of the day, he'll be able to finagle the numbers and, produce the books that will help them make money. That's why he has a job. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about. Don't ever get it twisted. At FanFan420. Please help me understand the logic behind having Andy Dalton start for the Bears. Is this just a ploy by Nagy to try and get an extension? Whereas Fields saves the day after they start out poorly, so magically Nagy's offense must work and therefore he needs a contract extension. Pretty clever ploy, but it seems entirely too clever for Matt Nagy. I think it's kind of that old school approach of, you got to let the rookie sit and watch and develop, which is dumb. Or he's going back to his time in Kansas City and assuming that Patrick Mahomes benefited so much from sitting, which is also dumb. The only thing that did was wasted another season for the Kansas City Chiefs with Alex Smith's noodle fucking arm. Wasted another peak year of early rookie contract Patrick Mahomes. That does not deserve to be praised. That is dumb. That's probably what it is. At Tony_Summer. Ask, your track record scouting quarterbacks is pretty good. What do you look for? What traits do you think people overrate or underrate? It's interesting. Yeah, my track record's good in recent years. Certainly better than some other notable ones. It's far from perfect, which speaks to just how inexact of a science it is. Also, I think in some ways, admittedly, speaks to how bad some of these other folks are at their job. How are you on draft Twitter full time? Draft is your thing and you are so comically bad at evaluating quarterback position. I don't get it. I really don't get it. In terms of what do I look for, what traits do I think people overrate or underrate? In terms of things that I look for, obviously I'm a very big tools quarterback. Arm strength, arm talent, ability to make different types of NFL throws, because those are the types of things that you can process and translate. I think accuracy and ball placement is incredibly important, but sometimes can be overrated. For example, I look at Cam Newton coming out of Auburn. There were a lot of questions about his accuracy, and understandably so. But Cam Newton was never going to be the type of guy that was a 66, 68, 70% completion percentage type of guy. With that arm strength and that talent, you were looking for more big plays out of him in the passing game than consistent, shorter plays. So if he was around 60, 61%, it was pretty good. I think sometimes how people process things, not every trait is the same for every skill set or every type of quarterback. I think the single biggest thing that I'm able to do, and admittedly, still with misses too, or in some cases overrating guys, in some cases underrating guys that I believe in, and yet I'm not willing to go all the way there. See, Mahomes. He was my QB1, but I did have a second-round grade on him, said I would take him in round 1, but rating skills a little busted there, because I was obviously very big on Mahomes. But if I was talking about what I look for, the biggest key to me is I completely ignore what everybody else has said. So I'm able to separate the bias and the bullshit and the years of media hype and truly just evaluate the prospect based off of what I've seen. Some other things that are very important to me are read and react times. Like, field vision is nice and everything, the ability to scan the field, but it doesn't matter if you can go through your progressions. You can't read and react to them quickly. And sometimes, admittedly, it's just kind of a feel thing. Like, to me, a lot of times, I'm looking for NFL throws. Who makes the most and the most consistent big NFL throws? Those tend to be the things that translate the most. Dane the Funky Homo Sapien. What is a quintessential Chicago move? Define it however you'd like. What is a quintessential Chicago movie? Define it however you'd like. Some say it's the Blues Brothers. Some say it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I personally say High Fidelity. What does Jeff say? I think the one that resonates all these years later is probably the Blues Brothers. Yeah, I think it's the Blues Brothers. Smokin' J Prods. Record prediction for the Bears this year. I haven't made one yet. When I do my team-by-team previews, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks, guys, so stay tuned for that, you'll have my predictions. You're not getting them right now. Rosario24. Are you a big fan of Queen? I'm a huge fan of them. I can't remember if you're a fan of the band or not. Abso-fucking-lutely. Freddie Mercury was a godsend as a lead singer. It was a phenomenal band. Like, so much of their music still has replay value decades later. And you think about the greatness of a band like Queen, to be able to go in Live Aid in '85 and all those legendary, iconic, generational, century-level type of acts that were part of that show, and they were the ones that stole the show. So yes, big fan of Queen. DeMarcus Flowers, who do you think will win the NFC West? Out of all the divisions, that's the one I'm not sure about who will come out on top. Again, you will have to wait until my team-by-team previews, which will be up in a couple of weeks. Lucas on tap. He must be asking this Ted Phillips-related question. Kappa, salami, or bologna? Now, I've been counting Ted. He's a very economical guy, so always good with a salami or a prosciutto, but, Lucas, it's got to go with bologna. It's practical. It's affordable. What else would a bean counter want? It's got to be bologna. So it's got to be bologna. Lord JCW, what are your thoughts on Charles Barkley's recent comments about LeBron and him not going through the struggle like some of the other legends? Oh, he clearly didn't. Like, it's the nature of the game now. And let's be clear here for Charles Barkley. He forced a way out of a couple situations in his career too. Like, he was drafted by Philadelphia and then eventually forced his way out and ended up in Phoenix and then eventually ended up in Houston. So there's a slight bit of hypocrisy there when it comes to Charles Barkley, of all people, saying some shit. Like, if Michael Jordan said it, or when he was alive, if a Kobe Bryant said it, that carries more weight. That carries more strength behind it, because those guys didn't just cut tail and run the first time that it fucking got hard. They didn't sit there and just seek out the next great opportunity. They didn't take the kind of, as we would call it, the punk-ass way out. Well, LeBron's totally in a position where he can exercise that leverage. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but I don't know that Charles Barkley himself has a ton of room to talk. Mike Schmidt, when and if Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers, who do you think would be the front runners to sign him? My pick would be the Broncos. It would probably be a trade. And I certainly would think the Broncos would be one of those ones trying to go down the Peyton Manning route to get the last years out of a Hall of Fame quarterback. I would assume that they would ship him to an AFC team. And if they did, the Broncos would certainly be one of those teams you'd be looking at. Wes Birding, BirdDog502, hypothetical question. If the Bears had fired Pace and Nagy at the end of last season, like most of the fan base wanted, did the Bears still end up with Justin Fields? Or do you think a new GM would have also traded up to get Fields or one of the top 5 quarterbacks? Oh, I'm sure if they had fired Pace and Nagy that they'd still be drafting a quarterback. And the question would be, would they have stopped at Justin Fields at pick 11? Or would they have tried to get up into the top 3 where a Trey Lance or a Zach Wilson was? I don't know. They could have been players all the way up to 3, but more likely not, would have probably still ended up potentially with a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones. Hard to know. Eli_Wildcat_69. If a franchise quarterback were to go down in training camp, who is the best immediate option to replace him? Phillip Rivers via signing or Marcus Mariota or Foles via trade? You know, as I look at this one, I don't think it's Rivers. It's too late now. If I was going to go after a Mariota or Foles through trade, why wouldn't I just go after Gardner Minshew? How different would that be? Really? If your best immediate option is to pray. Beautiful Joe. Adam Schefter tweeted, Peyton would make a good commissioner. After his Hall of Fame speech, not sure if he would want to do that. It's about being the whipping boy for owners. Thoughts? I don't see it. I can see Peyton potentially working in the league office. I can see Peyton taking on a role like an Elway type of role in a team's front office. I can see him potentially buying into an ownership stake in an organization. But commissioner? Nah, I don't think so. At the Tomas O'Brien, what offenses in the NFL do you think will be better than what most people expect? And what offenses do you see being worse than what most people expect? That is a too detailed question for me to ask right now. And again, I'm going to point you to in a couple of weeks when I do the team-by-team previews for the 2021 NFL season. You'll start to get some of those answers there. At King Jordan 8476, I just recently turned 18. I'm entering my senior year of high school. Do you have any tips for me on what to expect? Say, Jordan, you come to old man Jeff to give you some damn tips and advice. Well, congratulations on turning 18. Got one more year of school. Have any tips for you? What to expect? I tell you what. If you need very specifics, I just followed you on Twitter, so you can feel free to DM me if you're looking for like specific life advice. Well, take it just like anything else with a grain of salt. In terms of getting ready for your senior year of high school, like, enjoy it. Don't be in too much of a rush. Like, just live in the moment and enjoy it. Don't feel too much pressure to have to map out the rest of your life when you're 18 fucking years old. Like, it's so stupid how we expect 17 and 18-year-old kids to sit there and decide whether they're going to go to school or if they're going to go to the military, if they're going to do this, or what's your career path. They're like, how the hell are they supposed to know? They just barely just started figuring out their pussies and vaginas work, and now we wanted to make life-altering, life-changing, life-impacting, forever and ever damn decisions? That's harsh. But enjoy it. Don't be in too much of a hurry. Take it one day at a time, and let the chips fall where they may. Lawrence Grani. What is the best case scenario for the Bengals this season? Certainly, I think this is an obvious one. Joe Burrow stays healthy all year. Joe Burrow shows that he could be a franchise quarterback. And the Bengals are somewhere banging in the back end of that AFC North. Maybe they're a 7 or 8 win team. Maybe you want to see them have a chance in December and January to clinch a wild card spot. How likely is that? But the biggest and most important thing is you want Joe Burrow to be healthy for a full season and show what he can do. At _Wildcat69. Sorry, I screwed up your name before. Assuming Governor Cuomo resigns, is Mayor Bill de Blasio the best option for replacing him? Let's be clear here. You're talking about Cuomo. What makes you think that he's going to resign? What makes you think that he has enough self-awareness? What makes you think he has enough shame that he would actually do that? Isn't this the same cocksucker that put out a book that he could profit from, talking about how his city and he specifically handled the pandemic during the middle of the fucking pandemic, which, by the way, he certainly did not knock out of the damn park? Sometimes the only thing worse than a freaking far-right whack job QAnon conspiracy nuthole, fucking MAGA folks, sometimes the only thing worse is one of these far-left loons, as they will be just as quick. Like, at least sometimes you talk about with, like, Republicans and conservatives, like, there's not necessarily a shame there, talking about their desire of love of money over everything else and using anything as a prop, whether that be church or anything else, like terrorism, fear, like, to make money. But at least you know. Like, the real snakes in the grass sometimes are the Democrats and the liberals, because you never fucking know. But then you find out ultimately that they're pretty much like the conservatives. They just take a different approach to the same damn result. Let's see here. I think that's it for this Q&A. Yes, we got some more questions. I will get to them in the next one. This is a good one. Thank you guys for the questions. Make sure you tune in to part 2. Smash that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter.